Thank you very much to Steve and Carol. I can't think of a better place, actually, to have a first public speaking engagement in New York than at the CBC. There's a long and rich history of CBC's involvement in a very productive way in the city, in a long history, more recently with the state. And I'm certainly supportive of all the work that takes place here and of MTA working very, very closely with CBC. I'd also say that I've taken a look at the report that has been put together. It provides a lot of food for thought, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of engagement taking place after here. Now, I know that Steve chaired that report, and as he said, we've had the pleasure of working together both in New York at the MTA and also more recently in London. What he didn't tell you, but I'll tell you, is that Steve was the legal mind behind a stunningly unsuccessful lawsuit that we had to stop the privatization of the London Underground. And while we lost that in court, one of the nice things about that episode was that it didn't take long for history to prove us right. While the contract was awarded for the 30-year privatization of the Underground, the private consortium was bankrupt in less than 4 years. So I guess we were proven to be right on the merits, if not the other part. What I wanted to try to do, I will touch upon the capital program, but I wanted to also give a sense of some of the things that I've been thinking about in the 2 weeks, or since everybody's counting 15 days since I started at the MTA. And it was mentioned that laterally in my time at the MTA I had been the Chief of Staff and the CFO. I think what's important actually for this discussion was I started my career at the MTA working on the capital program. I went to the MTA right out of graduate school in 1983. I started as an analyst working on the capital program at that time, and I did that largely because this was a new and exciting thing. We talk about the capital program today because we're talking about the capital program that's already committed $70 billion to the rebuilding of the transit system. But think back to the time back in the early 1980s when the capital program was starting. And it's a time that we have trouble remembering today. It's a time when the subway, a picture of a subway car, was literally being used as a national symbol of urban decay. It was a time when trains were literally falling off the tracks, when graffiti was everywhere, when you would stand there and if you actually got in the train and saw an empty seat, you would think twice about why that seat was actually empty. And you know, we talk about this now like it's a joke, and because in fact so much has happened. I mean, I've been riding around the system extensively over the last couple of weeks. It's one of the things that I've been trying to do, and one of the things that I'm struck by as you go around the system is what has actually been accomplished over this period of time, and we now have a sense of a subway system, a bus system, a rail system in which trains and buses are in fact modern and new. They're clean, they're well maintained. We expect the air conditioning to work in the summer. We expect the heat to work in the winter. And those are all really good things. And sometimes when I'm going around the organization, I feel a need to remind people that they should be proud about what has been accomplished. Because it is so stunningly different than what I have seen before. It is not just in terms of any statistics that I might put out, but it's also in terms of what everybody in New York has seen and knows. And let's remember that in the recovery in this great city from the tragic events of 9/11, it would simply not have been possible without the strength of the transit system that we created through the capital program. So everyone inside the organization should be proud of that. Everyone who worked so hard to get this underway, Steve more seriously was part of that, Dick Ravitch, a number of other people. Tremendous, tremendous effort to get this underway and tremendous effort to manage this over a period of time. Bill Goldstein here today, who managed it for any number of years while I was at the MTA. So I've been trying to tell people to be proud. But there's a but there, and the but is I don't want them to be satisfied. Because there's one way of looking at this that says, gee, we've accomplished so much. Why aren't people satisfied? They keep raising the bar. They keep asking for more. They keep wanting more to happen. And in fact, that's right. People are raising the bar. They are asking for more to be there. And that's a good thing. It's not we're being put on. That's a good thing. Think about all that's changed this period of time. When I left the MTA in 1995, I didn't have an internet account. That's the time frame we're talking about here, right? I couldn't go down to the store and buy a little gizmo to go in my windshield for $100 that will tell me where to turn left and right at every street in America. Much has changed, and so it's perfectly understandable that we might think that there might be a better way to find out when a bus is coming than peering down the street, or going down the steps to look down in a subway tunnel to see if we see the white light, and knowing that the really sophisticated people can tell the difference between the reflection and the train that's actually coming. So we do want more from our system, and that's one of the great challenges that we have right now. We have to find a way to be able to bring more out of the system that we have while continuing the rebuilding effort that is underway. So as I've been thinking about that challenge, I've been asking everyone for a little bit of patience. Everyone seems to be counting days. I may need legal counsel from Steve as to whether or not my 100-day plan was calendar days or working days. But I've basically asked and said, look, if we can, the reasonable thing to say is let's take the first 100 days, put together a tight plan for what we can accomplish, and be talking about it from that perspective. But I did want to offer a few high-level thoughts that at least have been evolving in my mind as I've gone around over the first couple of weeks. And the first thought really is that I don't really think this is a time for grand plans. We have enough going on right now. What this is a time for is execution and delivery. We have a transit system right now that needs to be able to show that it can deliver the massive capital work that is underway. And don't miss the fact that we're engaging right now in a capital program effort that is far greater and far more complex than anything the MTA has ever done before. We are trying to continue to rebuild an existing system with an aging plant and undertaking simultaneously 4 mega projects, each of which is of a size and a magnitude that is somewhat unprecedented, and combined it sort of boggles the mind in terms of what we're doing. And we haven't yet earned the trust of the public and our elected officials that we can deliver that program. And we have to deliver that program. We have to show that we should earn the trust to deliver that program. We also have to earn the trust that we can execute and deliver on a wide range of things that have been put out there. When I talk about technology, people come back to me and say, well, the MTA doesn't do technology. That's not an answer that can possibly make sense. The question is not whether or not the plans are there to be able to do that. When we talk about the next signs on the train, for the countdown signs tell you when the next train is coming, I happen to know when the money for that program went into the capital program. I know because I put it there, and it was in 1993. Right? So it's not a question of having the plan, it's a question of being able